Hi, my name is Vivi Schutz. I'm a licensed mental health counselor in my private practice, Phoenix Rises Counseling. I'm currently practicing in Washington State, but I hope to be able to practice in California as soon as I passed all the requirements. But today I want to talk about relationship problems. And what if your relationship problems are attachment trauma? What if your relationship problems are actually a symptom of trauma? And so let's say you have a questionable relationship history. Relationships just haven't been working out. Or you keep attracting partners that are hurtful to you. And you don't know why. And it's very difficult to let go of hurtful partners, even though you know it's not what you really want. But maybe you can't even imagine that it could be any better. Because after all, relationships never really worked out and they never felt all that great. And trusting anyone is difficult. And how would you know if there's anything better available out there in the universe? And what I want to say about trauma and attachment trauma is that we learn about relationships very early on. As a baby, we don't really know that we're separate from the mother until a year later or 18 months. So we learn about relationships and attachment. So how safe you feel attaching to another person and feeling close and trusting that closeness. We learn that in how sensitive our mother is. And the mother or father who is taking care of the infant has to be enormously sensitive to read all their needs and respond to them correctly. And most of us didn't have these enormously skilled parents. And so what happens to us then when we're infants is that we learn that the person we are closest to, the person we expect is going to nurture us and care for us, that they're going to be there for us sometimes, or not all the time, or it's unpredictable, or they don't respond to our needs, or they don't understand our needs. And imagine what we're learning early on about relationships as we're even relating to a parent, or as the parent is relating to us. So early on in life, we already learn, wow, this is what relationships are going to be like. Maybe I have a great caretaker, and that means I'm going to trust people later on, and I'm going to choose these really loving, nurturing partners. But if we aren't that lucky, we just learn that relationships are unpredictable, unsafe, our needs aren't going to be met, this is normal, we might get hurt, so maybe we don't attach, avoid an attachment, or we kind of attach, but we're always with one foot out the door because we might get hurt. We're looking at insecure attachment styles, or ambivalent attachment, or disorganized attachment, where we want to be close, and the moment when we're close, we want the other person to go away, but we don't want them to leave us. And it's just enormously painful. And so my point is that early on in life, we learn what relationships are going to be like. And because we're very little, we're a baby and our brain isn't fully developed, we're not quite equipped yet to make decisions about the rest of our life. Nevertheless, these decisions get stored again in the brain, in the amygdala, and if our childhood and being a baby, if that wasn't quite ideal, then we walk away and we walk through life expecting that this is how relationships are going to be. And then we go and choose partners that match that. Even if we're used to a partner who isn't quite there and doesn't meet our needs and doesn't understand us and isn't listening, and is sometimes there and sometimes not, maybe just like a parent, we find that normal. That becomes our normal. And so then we're more likely to attract, but actually choose people to be in relationships with that are similar to what we're used to. Because what we're used to, at least it feels safer. It's like it's the devil we know. It's, we know how to deal with that situation. It's like, we live in the US and we know how to get by in the US. And if we have an insecure attachment style from early trauma, early attachment trauma, all of a sudden choosing a good relationship or feeling safe in it, that would be like moving to France. And moving to France is just scarier, not because it's worse, but it's because we don't know it. We don't know France, and it's scary. So we feel safer in the US. So it's like that with relationships. We end up choosing relationships that are kind of similar to what we know, even if it wasn't good, because it's normal. It's safer. And then we might have a pattern of perpetuating the attachment trauma, whatever happened as an infant or as a small child. We continue that throughout life. And even if we end up with a really safe, loving partner, we might just not feel comfortable being safe. And I might feel uncomfortable if they're close for too long, or waiting for the shoe to drop because it always did. And maybe we push that person away. Or maybe we get into an argument just because we have that sudden feeling that we need to push them away, even if they are safe. Or maybe they're just really not safe, or they're inconsistent. And so I encourage you to think of relationship problems as, what is going on inside of me? What did I learn as an infant or in my childhood about relationships? And then look at your relationships today and see how they reflect your past. And if it's not rosy, I encourage you to look at it as trauma. It's relationship trauma. It's early attachment trauma. When we learned what relationships are going to be like. And it's really as if we're running this unconscious program from the time we're born or very little. And the good news is that we can really do a system update. And instead of just going for couples counseling, which is always a good idea, don't get me wrong, it's also worth it to really look at ourselves. Like, where am I traumatized in relationships? Where have I difficulties being in relationships? Because most of us that do. And look for the trauma. Look for the early trauma. And I think you'll know. Was it good? Was it not good? What was going on at the time of your birth? Because we actually remember those things. And go from there. Go for your own healing first, so that you're comfortable attaching to another